De'Aaron Fox is sitting at the top of the San Antonio Spurs payroll, cashing in as the highest paid player on the roster, and then he drops one of the roughest finals performances we've seen from starting guard in a long time. Think about that for a second. $51 million a year, and when the pressure hit hardest, the biggest 5 games of his career, he couldn't even crack 35% shooting from the field. But here's where things get uncomfortable inside that Spurs locker room. A rookie, barely getting real minutes during the regular season, stepped onto the final stage and outscored him while playing less time. That's not just surprising, that's a serious problem. His name is Dylan Harper, and after what just went down in San Antonio, people behind the scenes are starting to whisper that the future of the franchise may have just walked right past Fox while he was stuck watching from the bench. Now, if you've been catching the headlines, seeing fans go wild online, trade talks heating up, and all the noise building around Fox, you're probably wondering how things spiraled this fast. How does a max contract guard get outplayed by a 20-year-old rookie when everything is on the line? Stay locked in, because this didn't happen overnight. We're breaking this whole situation down step by step, dollar by dollar, and showing exactly how the Spurs watched the championship slip right through their hands. Let's rewind to where everything really started to fall apart, because highlights didn't tell the full story, not even close. The Spurs made the 2026 NBA Finals for the first time since 2014, powered by Victor Wembanyama, putting together a season people are going to talk about for years. This team wasn't even supposed to be here yet, but somehow they got there fast, maybe too fast. Then they ran into the New York Knicks, a team that had been building toward this exact moment for years, chasing a title that's been out of reach for over 5 decades. And the series, it didn't collapse in blowouts or domination. It unraveled in the worst way possible. The Knicks beat them 4-1, but the real story is how San Antonio kept giving games away when it mattered most. We're talking repeated fourth-quarter breakdowns. According to ESPN and multiple reports, the Knicks came back from double-digit deficits in every single one of their 4 wins, every single time. That's not luck, that's a pattern, and right in the middle of that pattern was De'Aaron Fox when the pressure hit its peak. Now, look at the numbers, because they paint a brutal picture. Across 5 finals games, Fox averaged just 12.8 points per night, shooting 34% from the field and only 25% from deep. For a player brought in to close games next to Wembanyama, those numbers aren't just disappointing. They raise serious questions about his role moving forward. To really understand how this situation exploded, you have to go straight to Game 4 at Madison Square Garden. This is where everything flipped. The Spurs were up by 29 points in the second half, 29 on the road against the eventual champions, and somehow they lost that game. Fast forward to the final seconds. San Antonio's up by 1 with under 15 seconds left, and Fox has the ball. This is the moment. All he has to do is control the clock, force a foul, and put the pressure back on New York. Simple, right? Instead, he drives to the rim. OG Anunoby meets him at the basket and blocks the shot clean. Just like that, the Knicks grab the ball, push the other way, and hit the game winner. Game over. A lead erased, and it all comes down to one decision in the final possession. And the worst part, that wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was the same story repeating again and again on the biggest stage. One stat that started spreading fast, put together by basketball reporter Tulsi Olarunda, showed just how much Fox disappeared late in games. In the 4th quarter alone, he went 0 for 2 in Game 1, 2 for 2 in Game 2, 2 for 6 in Game 3, 1 for 5 in Game 4, yes, that same game, and then 0 for 4 in Game 5, the elimination game. Add it all up, and across the series, he finished 24 for 70 from the field and 7 for 28 from 3. That's not just a couple of bad nights. That's 5 straight games where your max player couldn't deliver when everything was on the line. After the loss, reporters asked Fox what he was thinking on that final play. His response, he said he was trying to go up by 3 and force the Knicks into needing a 3-pointer, and added that OG made a good block. That was it. One reporter pushed back, asking the question everyone was already thinking: why not slow it down, draw the foul, and make it a free throw game like every closer is taught to do? Fox didn't really have an answer. And right there, that moment didn't just cost the Spurs a game, it changed how an entire fan base looks at him. Because after that, patience started running out fast. After that play, Patience was gone, completely gone. And while all of that chaos was unfolding, while the highest paid guard on the roster couldn't buy a bucket, there was a 20-year-old rookie quietly turning the finals into his personal breakout stage. Dylan Harper, the number 2 overall pick out of Rutgers in the 2025 draft, wasn't even getting real attention before the playoffs started. He wasn't a starter. He was coming off the bench, sitting behind Fox and Stephon Castle in the guard rotation. But when the spotlight got brighter, Harper didn't fade, he leveled up. Across those 5 finals games, he averaged 18 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 3 assists per night, shooting close to 50% from the field and over 33% from 3. That's serious production under pressure. In a series where the team's top-paid player was stuck around 34% shooting, this rookie was flirting with 50%. That gap is loud, and it wasn't just about averages either. Harper scored double digits in every single finals game, something Fox couldn't even match. He dropped 21 points in Game 4. Yes, the same game with that costly missed layup, and then came back even stronger with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in Game 5, the elimination game where everything ended for San Antonio. Meanwhile, Fox struggled hard in that final game, going 3 for 15 from the field and finishing with just 7 points. On the biggest night, Harper looked like the most confident player on the court. No hesitation, no fear. He even made history, becoming the youngest player ever to score 20 points in an NBA Finals game. That's a record stamped next to his name forever, no matter what happens next. Think about that for a second. A rookie who didn't start a single playoff game just walked into the finals on the road and made history in the same building where his team season came to an end. That's not normal. That's a statement. And what makes it even crazier is the situation he was in. This wasn't a team desperate for guards. The Spurs were loaded in the backcourt. Stephon Castle, the reigning Rookie of the Year, was already ahead of Harper in the rotation. So now you've got 3 legit guards, a max contract veteran, a Rookie of the Year, and a number 2 overall pick. And somehow, the one producing the most when it matters couldn't get consistent minutes. That's not about depth anymore. That's about decisions, big ones. Now, here's where things take another turn because the stat sheet only tells part of the story. The rest was happening behind the scenes, and it started to leak out after the season ended. Spurs guard Devin Vassell sat down for his exit interview and dropped a comment that instantly caught attention. Talking about Harper, Vassell said he was upset with playing time and different roles that he was in, but when we needed him most, he stepped up. That right there says everything. Read that again. That's not fans online guessing or debating. That's his own teammate confirming the frustration was real, that it had been building all season, and that Harper wasn't staying quiet about it inside the locker room. Now put that into context. This wasn't a rookie just waiting patiently for his moment. This was a player who believed he deserved more all year, watching a struggling veteran keep his minutes game after game. And then, when the finals arrived, he went out there and outperformed that same veteran across the board. If you're Devin Harper and you've been saying all season you deserve more time, and then you prove it on the biggest stage with better scoring, better efficiency, and fewer minutes, that's not frustration anymore. That's validation. And now the Spurs coaching staff is stuck in a tough spot because suddenly everyone is asking the same question. Fans, analysts, media, all of them. If the signs were already there during the regular season, why did it take a finals collapse for anything to change? That question didn't stay quiet for long either. It exploded almost immediately, and it didn't even start with the media. It came straight from the fans. After Game 4, after the blown 29-point lead, after that final possession, the energy shifted fast. Spurs fans didn't just get upset, they took action. Within hours, multiple GoFundMe campaigns started popping up online, all aiming at one thing: raising money to buy out Fox's contract and get him off the team. That's how heated it got. One campaign even called Fox absolutely terrible and blamed him for costing the Spurs a chance to tie the series. That's harsh, but it shows where emotions were at. Now, GoFundMe ended up removing several of those campaigns because they weren't actually authorized by anyone connected to the situation. And honestly, that detail says a lot by itself. Fans were so frustrated they tried to crowdsource a solution to a max contract decision, and it didn't stop there. Some of the screenshots going viral turn out to be completely fake posts that never even existed on the platform. But by that point, it didn't matter. Real or fake, the message was already out there, loud and clear. But by the time all of that got cleared up, it didn't even matter anymore. The story had already taken off and the damage was done. Real campaigns or fake ones, the message coming from the fans sounded exactly the same. Get him off this roster. And here's when you know things went way past basketball. One fundraiser that showed up later wasn't even about buying out his contract anymore. It was asking fans to chip in for what the organizer called the emotional damage Fox caused them. That's where the conversation had gone. Another campaign leaned all the way into jokes, raising money to send him out of the country completely, playing into that old idea of players finishing their careers overseas. And then there was one version that really crossed into chaos. It listed Spurs president Greg Popovich as the organizer and called Fox the worst player in the NBA. Obviously, that wasn't real, but the fact people were ready to believe it says everything. Fans were so frustrated, they didn't even need proof anymore. And not all of these posts were legit either. GoFundMe later confirmed that one of the biggest viral screenshots, a fundraiser claiming a $55 million goal, never even existed on their platform, completely made up. And still, it spread like wildfire. That's when you know things hit a different level. When people are creating fake evidence just because it feels believable, that's not normal criticism. That's a fan base that's fed up. And when fans start turning your struggles into jokes instead of giving you time to recover, that's another sign things have gone left fast. That's not patience, that's people checking out completely, at least for now. And it wasn't just fans talking either. Hall of Fame analyst Charles Barkley jumped in after Game 4 and said straight up that Fox should be benched for the elimination game. Think about that. Someone who's been around the game for decades, saying on national TV that you shouldn't even be on the floor in a must-win situation. At that point, it's not just a wild opinion. It starts sounding like a growing agreement. So with all that noise building, the viral campaigns, the rookie making history, teammates speaking out, analysts calling for changes, you'd expect the Spurs coaching staff to adjust something, anything, right? They didn't. Head coach Mitch Johnson was asked directly after game for if any of this criticism would change who closes games. His answer, clear and direct. He said, Fox will have the basketball in his hands at the end of the game tomorrow. No hesitation, no talk about switching things up, no hint of reconsidering the rotation. The Spurs were heading into an elimination game, and the plan stayed exactly the same. That didn't sit right with a lot of people who understand the game deeply, either. Former NBA champion Brennan Haywood spoke out and made it clear this wasn't just on Fox. He said Coach Johnson deserved real scrutiny for sticking with him so long, even while Harper was clearly outperforming him on the biggest stage. And the point being made wasn't subtle at all. If a coach refuses to sit a struggling max player, even when a rookie is playing better with a championship on the line, then that's not just loyalty. That's a decision that can cost you everything. Once that idea started spreading, fans began connecting their own dots, too. One post that blew up online pointed out that Fox and Coach Johnson share the same major sports agency. And just like that, people started wondering if that connection had anything to do with why Fox kept getting chances, no matter what the numbers showed. Now, there's no clear proof the relationship changed anything on the court, but the fact fans were even looking for answers like that shows how confusing the situation felt from the outside. And now, when you line everything up, it paints a tough picture for the Spurs heading into the offseason. You've got your highest paid player locked into a deal worth over $200 million, and he just delivered one of the worst finals performances of his career at the exact moment he was supposed to define his legacy in San Antonio. At the same time, you've got a rookie making a fraction of that money, breaking a finals scoring record, shooting nearly 50% across the series, and, according to his own teammate, pushing all season for a bigger role that he clearly earned. That contrast right there, that's the real issue the Spurs can't ignore anymore. You've got a fan base so frustrated they literally try to crowdfund a roster move. And at the same time, you've got a head coach standing in front of cameras saying nothing is changing. That mix right there, that's where things start getting real messy. Now, this is where the future gets very interesting because none of this exists on its own. Fox is locked into a deal that runs through the 2029-2030 season, and once his extension fully kicks in, he's set to make close to $56 million a year. That's serious money tied to one player. At the same time, Victor Wembanyama, the centerpiece of the entire franchise, is heading into extension talks this offseason. And that deal, it could cross $250 million on its own. So now, the Spurs are staring at a situation where they have to figure out how to pay a generational talent, while also justifying huge money tied up in a backcourt that just got outperformed by its own rookie. That math tightens up fast. Every single year, it gets harder to balance. And if Harper keeps improving at this pace, this situation is only going to get louder because rookies on cheap contracts who show out in the finals don't stay cheap for long. Let's put real numbers on it because this gap is wild. Wembanyama, who many already see as a top 3 player in the world, is making around $17 million next season on his rookie deal. Harper, the same rookie who just outscored Fox in the finals, is sitting around $13 million. And then there's Fox pulling in $55 to $56 million a year on that extension. That's more than Wembanyama and Harper combined. And this is coming right after a final stretch where he shot just 34% from the field. When you line it up like that, it doesn't just raise eyebrows, it forces decisions. Right now, the Spurs are sitting around $150 million in committed salary for next season, still under the luxury tax line. That gives them some breathing room for now. If they want to make a move, they can. But that flexibility disappears quickly the moment Wembanyama signs his max deal. And once that happens, keeping an underperforming max guard becomes a much tougher sale, no matter how much confidence the coaching staff has shown publicly. Now, here's the part a lot of fans don't want to hear. Trading Fox right now sounds good emotionally, but financially and strategically, it's complicated. His value is at a low point. Teams around the league saw the same finals. They saw the numbers, the missed shots, the late game struggles. No front office is rushing to offer a strong return for a max player coming off that kind of performance under that kind of spotlight. So, even if the Spurs are thinking about moving on, doing it right now would mean selling at the lowest possible value. The more realistic path? Let this play out. Give Fox another season. Let him rebuild his value, show whether he can bounce back, and then revisit trade talks when the market looks different. In other words, this isn't getting fixed overnight. It's something they're going to have to manage carefully. So, where does that leave San Antonio heading into the offseason? That's the big question. Do they give Fox another full shot as a starter, even after a finals where a rookie clearly outperformed him on the biggest stage? Do they make the bold move and hand Harper control of the backcourt, ignoring contracts and expectations? Or does this turn into a slow situation that builds over time, leading to a trade a year or two from now when Fox's value has had time to recover? Here's the honest read. The numbers from this series are too loud to ignore forever. You can explain away a rough stretch during the regular season. Teams do it all the time, but it's a lot harder to ignore a rookie making finals history right next to you while you're struggling through a 3 for 15 performance in a closeout game. That kind of contrast sticks with people, and sooner or later, it forces change. So, this is where things stand in San Antonio right now, and honestly, it still sounds unreal when you lay it all out together. You've got a max contract guard making more money than 2 of his own teammates combined, and he just delivered the worst finals performance of his career at the exact moment that was supposed to define his legacy with the Spurs. That's a tough look. Then, on the other side, you've got a 20-year-old rookie making a fraction of that money, coming off the bench, and breaking final scoring history. And this is after a full season where, according to reports, he was frustrated because he wasn't getting the opportunities he clearly felt he earned. Add to that a fan base so fed up they try to crowd-fund their way out of a front office decision. Real campaigns, fake screenshots, it didn't even matter. They were spreading at the same speed and pushing the same message. You had a Hall of Famer on national TV calling for Fox to be benched before an elimination game. And right in the middle of all that noise, the head coach looked straight into the camera and said nothing was changing. That's where the situation hits a whole different level. What you're left with now is a franchise at a real crossroads, and not the kind you fix with one off-season workout clip or a flashy summer league run. This is bigger than that. This is about roster construction, direction, and decision-making that's going to follow this team in a training camp, into the season, and probably all the way to the trade deadline if things don't turn around fast. Because let's be real, every single game next season is going to be compared to this finals run. Every off night from Fox, the comparisons to Harper are coming right back. Every big game from Harper, that debate is lighting up all over again. There's no quiet off season here. Not with this kind of money, this kind of pressure, and this level of talent all fighting for the same space on the court. So, here's the honest take. Those numbers from the finals were too loud to ignore forever. Maybe they got brushed aside for one game, but not long term. You can explain away a cold stretch during the regular season when the spotlight isn't as intense. That happens all the time, but it's way harder to ignore a rookie making finals history right next to you while you're putting up a 3 for 15 performance in a closeout game with everything on the line. That contrast sticks, and it doesn't fade easy. So, that's the full breakdown. Now, I want to hear from you. What should the Spurs actually do this offseason? Do they stick with Fox, give him a full season to bounce back, and treat the finals like just a bad stretch? Or do they make the bold move and start building around Dylan Harper right now, no matter how big those contracts are? Or maybe the answer is somewhere in the middle, splitting minutes, adjusting roles, and avoiding the all-or-nothing approach we saw in the finals. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is the kind of decision that can shape the next decade of a franchise, and the debate is only getting louder. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who's been watching the situation unfold. Stay locked in, because between Wembanyama's extension, Fox's future, and Harper's rise, this story is far from over. Catch you in the next one.